Hi, ladies and gentlemen. There are certain things which really hit us, even when we tend to ignore certain things, even when we are insensitive to certain insinuations. There are certain things which instantly evoke a reaction and at times an intellectual revulsion. I happened to read the editorial page of the Indian Express today, a routine thing. I read 3 4 newspapers, and the heading that caught my attention was Jim Crow Hindutva by Ashutosh Varshni, who claims to be a Goldman Professor of International Studies and Social Sciences at Brown University, United States of America. Out of curiosity, I went through the article, and as I went through it, I tried to imagine: are there certain Americans who study in India and criticize Christianity or criticize the American polity, the democratic value systems, etc.? Are there any Americans in India who would campaign for or against a political party validly elected by the wise electorate in the United States of America? Are there any Chinese scholars studying in Europe or in America criticizing their own country on wrong notions, on half baked information, on superficial information, except maybe if they are on asylum and they want to please the authorities or please some masters, some invisible masters in doing so? I am very sure Professor Ashutosh Varshni must be a very well read person. I don't know whether he is well read in the Western system of education and has read a particular stream of thought and developed it meticulously over a period of time as it suits him for taking a position wherever he is, or he has gone through in depth studying what is meant by a Hindu, what is Hinduism. Is there a difference between Hindu religion and Hinduism? And what is Hindutva? So when we say that the Indian nation or the Indian parliament, when it enacts certain laws on the questions of national safety or for checking illegal immigration into India or for deporting certain citizens who have gained illegal entry into India, or allowing such minorities in other countries who have Indian roots, but they are being persecuted in the countries where they are minorities. If there is a special provision for that, how does all this constitute Hindutva? I am not a supporter of BJP. I am not against BJP also, and I am not supporter of any particular political party. It's for the people of India, in their wisdom, to elect a particular government according to their own wisdom. India is the largest democracy of the world. It's not dictatorship. Nobody comes and rules India after descending from heaven through a divine right. Now, insulting Indian electorate for having elected any particular political party as the winner with 2/3 majority is not a dumb thing. India is not a country of fools. Indians are very wise. Indian citizens are enlightened, and they are aware of what is good for them and what is bad for them. How do you treat illegal immigration in the United States of America? What is wrong in having a national register of citizens? The professor has emphasized and drawn our attention to the Jim Crow laws of the United States of America, which perpetrated inequality and discrimination upon certain section of its society in the past. Fine, they have been repealed. There should be no law in any country which discriminates. In India also, our constitution lays down that there must not be any discrimination against anyone, including any minority. Now, when we come to governance, when we come to the security and integrity of India, tell me, does America allow an open door policy for anyone to come in and settle down there illegally? Does China do that? Does Russia do that? Does any other civilized country do that? Even in America, after the repeal of Jim Crow laws, what are the laws handling illegal immigration? The whole world knows, but the professor has not mentioned that the Illegal Immigration Reform and Immigrant Responsibility Act of 1996, which came into force on April 1st, 1997, made major changes to Immigration and Nationality Act because the USA wanted to tackle undocumented illegal immigration population of USA. The changes included provisions for instant deportation, removal proceedings. The then US President Bill Clinton said, "This legislation strengthened the rule of law by cracking down on illegal immigration at the border, in the workplace, and in the criminal justice system without pushing those living in United States legally." How do you know that someone is living in a country legally or illegally? Unless you have a national register for citizens, how do you know that? Is it going to be some guesswork? Or India should be different from what other countries of the world are? How do we ensure that the benefits of government grants, developmental expenditure is directed to our citizens primarily, and for others only for human considerations, but not as a matter of right? Why does the professor forget that among other changes, the IIRIRA gave the United States the authority to construct barriers along the border between US and Mexico and allowed construction of a double layer of border fencing? Is it a Jim Crow law to defend the United States of America against illegal immigrants, aliens, inadmissible aliens, deportable aliens are synonymous terms in the United States of America where the professor is teaching? And if India wants to have a national register of citizens, and if India wants its citizens to prove their legal existence in India over a period of time, what is fundamentally wrong about it? Now the professor says that Article 370 was wrongly tinkered with. There is lynching. Lynching anywhere in the world is bad. If at all it is there anywhere, it is taken care of by the law. But how can you say that the world's most peaceful democracy, India, is known for lynching? How can you have such a hasty generalization? This is terrible generalization. What is happening in J&K because of foreign intrusions? Hundreds and thousands of security people are dying in ambushes. I am not interested about the foreign policies and this and that, but I am also not interested in listening to a professor teaching in America that whom should the people of India vote? And this professor is introducing a so-called completely irrelevant concept of Jim Crow Hindutva. I don't know whether he has studied Indian philosophy written by Indians. He must have read some books on Indian philosophy, Hinduism, Hindu religion, or Hindutva as interpreted, as colorably interpreted by some Western scholars. My dear professor, please don't brand Hindus as the worst of tyrants in this world, the most intolerant class in the world, the most detestable class in the world, and don't preach against Hindutva. If you have some problem, ideological problem, in opposing any right or left wing party, we don't mind. Please go ahead. Many other people are doing it. And many other people are pursuing the agenda of providing intellectual cover to certain streams. Go ahead. I may be a Hindu, I may be a Muslim, I may be a Christian, but professor, leave us alone. Don't be so judgmental. I'm a very secular person, but this type of writing shocks anyone's conscience. Such irrational, unsubstantiated insinuations should better be avoided. Let's not write for cheap publicity. As intellectuals, we should not be irresponsible to introduce absolutely irrelevant and irrational concepts into Hinduism or Hindutva or Hindu religion. And please don't try to interpret the whole Hindu philosophy wrongly. You're confusing the national security needs of a country being handled by a democratically elected government in secular voting. You're confusing this with the religious beliefs of majority of the population of India. National security is national interest. Whether X, Y, Z, A, B, C religion or caste lives in a particular country. National security. If laws are passed for national security, if laws are passed for public safety, do we have to have a certification from others for that? Does America, Russia, China, Japan, do they take our permissions to pass laws relating to national security? Both from external threats as well as from internal insurgencies? Which country will tolerate all this? And you blame a government for passing such laws, and you rubbish the religious beliefs of majority of the population of the largest democracy of the world for taking care of its national security. I'm sorry, Professor, I don't like what you have written. But still I respect you, because I have been taught, my way of life in Hinduism has taught tolerance to even a contrary point of view. We are basically non-violent people. We are people with open minds. And we do not jump the gun and be judgmental about other religions and their religious practices and philosophy. We believe in coexistence. We believe in harmonious coexistence. India is a bunch of multicolored flowers. Please, Professor, visit us, and when you come to India next, please do spend an evening with me. Let's have a heart-to-heart talk as to what you write is to attract readership, or does it really reflect considered intellectualism? Thank you.